Hi, this is Mark Kramer, Senior Lecturer of Entrepreneurship at Vin University and host of Asian Founders and Funders. Today, we have Justin Lee, co-founder of BeeKrowd. Justin, welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Mark. It's my pleasure to be here today doing this session with Asian Founders and Funders podcast.
So fantastic to have you, and I'm very excited about your company. So let's first talk about your professional background. Where did you go to school, and how did you get to where you are right now?
Okay, so back in the past, I graduated in 2009 from International University with major in finance and accounting. And then I worked for a corporation in maybe 12 years from 2009 to 2019. So during that time, I worked for one of the largest brewery, a listed company, and I serve as a financial analyst and then manager. And we do corporate finance and also investment banking finance. A lot of stuff during that decade for me, and I learned a lot from like a state-owned enterprise, and also it is a listed company. So after that, I spent almost 2 years as a CFO and the CIO for a private company. It worked in agriculture and manufacturing industry. And during the last 5 years, in 2019, I and my partners, we started BeeKrowd. It's a startup initially. It's a startup trying to help other startups through our platform and professional service.
So that's what I
yeah.
want you to tell us about now is tell us about why you all started BeeKrowd and what's the mission of BeeKrowd.
Yeah, there are a lot of difference between corporate world and the small enterprise, especially the startup. So during my career, I took a lot of observation because Vietnam is an entrepreneurial country. You know that we have almost 1 million enterprise registered, but we also have another 5 million small businesses, either like households that trying to do business and hundreds of thousands of online or solo business owners during our e-commerce bloom last decade. So the entrepreneurial spirit within Vietnamese people and communities is very high, but at the same time, many of them, they got difficulties in growing their businesses, either in business management or financial management, trying to get some funded and support from the government or from the community to grow their businesses. So that's the time we trying to create something that can change the situation. And that's the story of BeeKrowd, because we met a lot of like young entrepreneurs, startup founders back like 2017, 2018, and at that time, not so many venture capitalist fund come here yet, and we saw a huge potential to help them by creating a platform that's trying to connect the valuable ideas and project with the angel and the venture and investor at that moment.
That's great. So I noticed that the platform helps folks raise capital, just like crowdfunding in the United States. And are there any legal issues when you're doing crowdfunding here in Vietnam? Like, what do you have to think about?
Actually, I and my team spent maybe 1.5 years to study all the crowdfunding or syndicated investment platform around the world, from the US, the UK, all European countries, some other Asian countries as well. So we wrote a book. It's called Crowdfunding Opportunity for Small Businesses. We like gather all the knowledge the business practice, the model that out there in the world, and compare it with the landscape in Vietnam, including the legal framework. Still now, after 5 years, I don't see a lot of change in terms of legal framework. It's still a gray area. They don't have a clear legal framework for it yet, but it's not prohibited. Actually, the crowdfund, it have different meanings. If we have more than 2 people, we can call it a crowd. Or if 1,000 people trying to invest in some valuable startup, it also called a crowd. So in everyday business doing, many people also use that crowdfund mechanism. They're trying to gather together, maybe in group, and invest in a company, a venture, either like in incorporation stage or in other fundraising route of company or of an entity. So basically, it's not an illegal concept at the moment, and many people, many investors, they deploy that concept and they're trying to do business and create value with the concept already.
Have you had any companies raise money on your platform?
Yes, we have met like hundreds of startups and we're trying to locate maybe more than 20 companies that work doing this model, and we have hope maybe more than 5 cases to raise the round on our platform. Back to 2021, just during COVID, one of the first case that deployed the crowdfunding on the platform is Bosco Specialty Coffee. They were trying to raise around 200,000 USD for its very first round to expand its retail coffee store. We raised from 8 investors with the minimum ticket size of almost 10,000 US dollar, and we turned like their suppliers, their stakeholders, and their loyal customer become their investor. So it's very interesting concept, and hopefully this year we can raise a second round for them as well, to name. And also there are a few more cases that have done successfully with this concept to the platform.
Awesome. And so did you have to raise money to start your own venture, or did you bootstrap it with your own capital?
Yeah, we think we thought about the fundraising just last year. From the first 3 years, we're trying to bootstrap from different sources of revenues. But actually, now we think about the fundraising through co-investing mechanism and platform for ourselves. This year, we call it angel round, and we're seeking for like 200 to 300 US dollar for this round, trying to have BeeKrowd like to do a lot of marketing activities with different stakeholders within the Vietnamese startup ecosystem, and also to enlarge its presence to regional countries as well. So the reason that why we just delaying is after a few years that we're trying to create some profile, some successful case, and waiting for the right time. But we think that there will be the right time to kick off the round, and hopefully we can close it at the end of this year.
And how much are you looking to raise?
We're looking to raise around 200 US dollar, 200,000 US dollar.
And people forget outside of Asia and the United States, to $200,000 is almost the equivalent, depending on what part of the United States you are, between $600,000 and $1 million, because the cost of living here is much less. I mean, I'm paying for a 1-bedroom apartment $300 a month in a very nice area outside the city in Ocean Park. And that's a fantastic deal. And even if you're paying closer to Hanoi, maybe you're paying for a reasonably nice place, no more than $1,000 a month. And in the United States, you wouldn't get something that would cost in New York City about $5,000-6,000 a month. So people have to realize that that's a good chunk of money to go and raise for sure. That's why I think there'll be more entrepreneurial companies moving to Vietnam, because for the venture capitalists, the amount of money they have to deploy is much less, and you've got so many smart people here. So there's also another side to your business. You also help people manage money as well, correct? Using your tools.
Yeah, basically the platform have different functions. On one side, it's trying to remove the friction on the market by providing comprehensive information of the deal flows. It's a tool where the startup founder can create a profile, a very professional and investment ready or for investment purpose business profile, so that the potential investor can look in and make decision. From investor or buy side, we also trying to help them to approach very good quality deal flows. It's the first reason they come to the platform. And second, for a majority of the potential angel investor, it could be a chance for them to get a new exposure to new investment asset class. Because in Vietnam, as else in other countries, besides the traditional asset class like equity, like property, USD or gold, or business doing, startup would be very new, but it's really worth to keep 5 to 10% of the net worth to be allocated into this new but very potential and meaningful investment, especially if they can like name diversification in 10 or 20 invested company, startup invested company. We have provide like educational content to a newbie investor so that they can get exactly the opportunity to join, but safely, because they're educated about the risk, the characteristics of this new investment vehicles, and also they are provided the deal flows and also a community, other angel investor to join the route as well together and create a community and a network of the business doers with like-minded people that they can leverage their current business, current investment, and create many interesting things for them to join. Yes, and also we also link the different stakeholders to the platform as well. For example, the universities, we're trying to bring the fresh thing to traditional way of teaching entrepreneurship and startup doing in university, and linked the corporate, I mean the big corporation with the university to provide the support to the entrepreneurial activity at the universities and different stakeholder. It not just two sides between investor and startup founder. Yeah, I mean that.
So you essentially have a few different lines of revenue here. One is the crowdfunding. What do you take for that? Like when somebody uses your platform to raise money, what percentage do you take of the raise, or how do you make money on that?
Yes, we have a few lines of business. The first one would be like the successful fees from the platform. It ranges from 4 to 7% of the successful deal size. It depends on the deal size as well. The smaller, the higher, and the largest, the lower. But normally around 5%. Before and after that, we also have like professional services. It's like management consulting that we're trying to help them with really deep dive market research, business model designing, financial modeling, and other stuff like legal and especially the post-route support at a CFO as service, for example, so they can help them really get fundamentally strong and get the target during and after the route, so they can move to the next level. We start with day zero, and then we also support them until the Series B's, and that's a typical route that we're trying to go along with the startup founder and investor. And then also we got a bunch of tech stacks that built for startup world. You can surf the BeeKrowd platform to discover a very new but interesting feature that helping the founder to build professional profile in hours, if not days a week, as before. And it basically it includes a bunch of features with AI backed and years of know-how to build those features in the platform. And both sides can benefit from the platform by trying to locate exactly what they want in real life over the platform, and they can make interesting things with the platform, interact, invest, giving hands, support from the impact-oriented university startup to very professional deep tech and venture-backed startups.
What's the hardest part of raising money in Asia? I mean, money is hard to raise no matter where you are. Even in the United States, people think it's falling off of trees, but truthfully, on average, only 1% of companies are able to raise outside capital. It's very small. Venture funds look at anywhere from a couple thousand to 5,000 deals. They might invest in 10 out of all of those deals. So even that number makes it so infinitesimal. Angels invest a little bit more than venture capitalists do. So how hard is it to raise money here? And do you see people becoming more enlightened, especially wealthy people who may be a little bit risk adverse with their money, willing to take more chances in startups?
Yes, very interesting questions. I don't know if I answer can cover all, but I will share some observations.
Insights. Sure.
Yeah, insight. We won't talk about like series fundraising because it later on. I will mainly focus on the early stage. It's like from the ideation or like the very early times of the businesses. It's called like pre-seed or seed or angel round. So and also there are external factors like the cultural features of the market, of the investor, and also the policy. I will explore on those factors as well. Even though it's very important in any country in the world, in Vietnam is luckily it's not ready yet in terms of the supporting policies. I mean there's some, but it's not really highly effective. And also the investment coach, the venture investment coach is not like in Silicon Valley or other country in the world. It might be half a century or something. Here it's just like 1 or 2 decades. It's still very immature. But for a startup, the difficult part, it would be like you would have to differentiate yourself in terms of what you want to perceive from the personal attachment. Because investor, they can receive maybe hundreds or thousands of case every year. So we have to differentiate yourself in what is your mission and vision why you would differentiate. Especially in early stage, investor would invest in the jockey. I use the concept of jockey and horse. The jockeys mean the founders and the
Yes.
team that would execute all of the job. Even though many of the time they don't know exactly 100% what it is, and they're trying to explore through day by days. So if you are really fresh founder, it would be very hard for that founder to win the audience at first. Investors always, especially here in Vietnam, investors always looking for some traction or early signals of successful. So it's more about like the ability to demonstrate that you have a passion, you have a team, and you have a plan there. For early stage startup and founder, so it's all about the preparation and the job or the action that you have taken to prove that you're really serious with your plan, and you can create something that very bold to solve the problem and to create a market to make the things really interesting to investor. And that's the first part. And the second part is you have a horse. A horse, that means that very good stuff in terms of the market side after you do a lot of market research, and the business model and the way you make money and the product itself. So with a good founder, you can pivot after 6 months or a year. It's not really like stick with the beginning business model or business idea, but when we seeking for fund, we have to have a very comprehensive and detailed plan of what you're gonna doing in next 6 months or 12 months at least, and then investor would judge on that feasibility and decide whether to follow the route or not. So in short, you have to know what you want to do and what's the team to execute that two part, but to win the investor. Other things like valuation, the terms, it's not really complicated or difficult. Even though it kind of technical stuff, it sometimes complex for founders, but with professional service or other support, it can be solved.
I have to say, one of the most important things that you said here, among all the very insightful things about raising money, is that today, even around the world, and especially in the US, just like when you watch Shark Tank, everybody expects that you're going to have some traction before you ask them for money, because nobody wants to fund anything, use their money to see if there is a market for something. So I think when I started the world's first formally organized investor angel network back in 1990, people were willing to invest in startups with no income. And that's pushing aside biotech and pharmaceutical, because those things take like a decade. But for all the others, people are willing to do it. But now, no matter where you are in the world, investors want to know, is somebody willing to buy your product or service? And if it's really taking off and you need money to speed up the hockey stick, then they're willing to come in, but they're not willing to take a risk if you haven't proven out that your model is good, right? So that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, exactly.
And only rare businesses. I started an insurance venture and a reverse factoring, and those required a lot of money and took a lot of time, and you couldn't show anything until you were able to raise significant money. So how do you market your service? Because you have different constituencies in a sense, because you have different business lines. So how do you market your company to others?
Yes, for the platform, we think that we would promote the platform via our service. I mean that I'm trying to locate a very good company to provide the management consulting or the fundraising consulting. And then if that's really a good case, and we have worked with them for a while and we're onboarding on the platform, and hopefully those case is successfully fundraised, and with more fundraised deal, it will be a very good marketing materials, marketing news that keeping new company, new founder that looking for investor to the platform. And that's the first part. For the second part, we're trying to engage with many stakeholders, like because we focus on early stage. So what you're saying is just exactly the market landscape for maybe seed or a little bit later series fundraising. The traction is the most important, the number talks. So that sentence, most of the VC or investor, they keep looking for the traction. But for early stage, now we can circumvent it by we create a syndicated platform to to make the small investor, maybe a few K, 5K, 10K or 20K, it could be accessible to small investor instead of 100 or 200,000 investment before. So that create more chance for a small or early stage company with little traction, but impressive ideas or business model can raise funds.
Go ahead, finish, and then I want to know what marketing tactics you're using to raise your visibility.
Yeah. So we're trying to work with the early stage idea or project sources like universities or incubators, because there are a lot of interesting ideas at those centers or at those places that really need the support, and we incorporate with them to change and to hand select the good deals from those sources. And we have like a lot of lists from those sources to create a pipeline for investor. That's the second way that we're trying to leverage the platform. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
And we also like go in hand with the VC, because nowadays my observation saying that for many VC investment, they don't invest alone. Maybe a deal of $500 US, 5-7 investor are VC, but many other cases, when VC don't feel the round, they're also looking for new angel syndicate invest together. So that's also a good source for BeeKrowd to partner with those VC investor to leverage the platform and to attract new angel investor that come along and invest with the VC, because the VC would do a very good job of select and due diligence and different stuffs. So we can like create a structure, and that structure will work very good for the current market landscape to onboarding the new risk-averse venture investor.
So what other tactics do you use? I mean, do you use an email newsletter? Do you do PR? What other things do you do to raise your visibility to get entrepreneurs to come to your site and use your platform to get wealthy people to not only invest, but to manage their money on your site?